Start in the name of Allah, who is merciful and most beneficent. Dear students, today we are going to discuss feminist approaches to literature. As we are dealing with the history of English literature, so today's our topic is feminist literature. So, first of all, we'll discuss the waves of feminism. So, first wave of feminism. In the early stage of feminist criticism, critics consider male novelist demeaning treatment of female characters. First wave feminist criticism include books like Mary Ellman's Thinking About Women, Cat Miller's Sexual Politics, etc., etc. An example of first wave feminist literary analysis would be a critic of William Shakespeare, Taming of the Shrew. So that was the first wave, and if we are going to discuss the second wave of feminism, so there are separate phases in the second wave. The first wave was there in the feminism phase. Female writers tried to adhere to male values, writing as men, and usually did not enter into debate regarding women's place in society. Female writer often implied male during this period. Yes, in this wave, female were there, but they were trying to hide their identity. They were writing the books, they were writing the novels, they were writing the plays, they were writing short stories, they were writing poetry, but they were not using their name, original name. They were using the name of male. So that was the reason in first phase. Now you can imagine that how much sort of problems were there. If you are a female and you are going to write someone and you can't write your name with your writing, this is some sort of very alarming situation. It means that you have written something, and if on the other hand, if you are having something with you and you can't put your association with that one, this is some sort of tragic situation in that phase, that how the male were dominant there. The society was not accepting the female even in the shape of writers. So that was the thing. So the second phase, in the feminist phase, the central theme of works by female writer was the criticism of the role of women in society and oppressions of women. Yes, in this phase they were writing the regarding that how the female are oppressor. So what are the oppressions of a female when the females are there and they are not able to do something as male are doing? So same is the case there, that you can say the male dominant society was there, but the female were not having some sort of right to do something as they were willing. On the other hand, you can say female were living but not as they were willing to live. In this current scenario, in this current era, female are very you can say dominant and independent. They can do anything as they want. But on the other hand, the female in that particular era, they were not easy. They were not supposed to do that. They were willing to do. So that was some sort of problem there. So the third one, during the female phase, women writers were no longer trying to prove the legitimacy of women's perspective. Rather, it was assumed that the works of a woman writer were authentic and valid. The female phase lacked the anger and combative concessions of feminist phase. So that was the thing. Females were writing as the anger is linked with male oppressions, and you can say some sort of aggressive facial expressions are there. On the other hand, he is saying that there was not something like that. Female were not going to deal with the anger, as the female is the, you can say, creation, sensitive creation. So that was the thing in their writing, that even they were not going to write within a anger, within the you can say expressions. They were not able to show their expressions. Now you can just imagine that how was the condition in that particular era. So that were the phases and some sort of three parts which we have discussed. So next one is we are going to discuss the depictions of women by men. So There were a lot of things, as we can say that writer inspired by considering the range of women depicted in the English literature, from Chaucer, a wife of Bath, in the Canterbury Tales, to Spenser's the Fairy Queen. Yes, this is the question, that how, if you are going to contrast the thing within a male and female, have you done with the Geoffrey Chaucer? And have you done with the character of wife of Bath? Yes, that is very interesting character. The female character, and the character is very religious one, as the Geoffrey Chaucer's era was based on religion. Christianity was there, and church was dominant there. So the wife of Bath is also a religious woman, and she has to do with some sort of religious faith and religious duty. But on the other hand, she is having 4 or 3 marriages, and she is having a lot of affairs, and she is having very contradictive personality. And as the Chaucer is predicting that how the female are demolishing the society. So that is the question, that how male and female are comprised within English literature. So this is some sort of thing. Next one is rise of the women writer. Yes, how the women writers were being raised with the movement from Renaissance to Restoration theatre. The depiction of women on the stage changed dramatically, in no small part because women could portray women for the first time. So that was the thing, that how the things were being depicted. And you can see that in the history of English literature, that was a rise. Actually, you can say that was a surprising rising of women. As on the one hand, we are seeing that women were not able to write their name with their writing, but on the other hand, women were rising very fastly, and they were able to write something, and they were able to stand with the man. So that was the thing. And the last one is woman writer and class. So that was the thing, that how the women were dealing with the class. Yes, as you know, the Jane Austen is there, and the other female writers we have discussed in this semester, all were having their own dimension. They were not dealing with the style of man. They were not copying the man. They were very independent in their writing, as well as their figure, as well as their concern, as well as their rights. So they were writing with the same case of the thing. And in this lecture, we have summarized the thing, that how feminist approaches towards literature, and as well as history of English literature is concerned, you can say that how the post-colonial literature is there. We'll discuss later in the next class. Marxist literature is there, but today we have done with the feminist literature, how literature is being built within the feminism, and how the different circumstances were there, but they were not dealing with that some sort of thing. But as a being a woman, as a being a female have suffered a lot within the history of English literature, but they have they have now domain in their own perspective, and they have some sort of thing with the history of English literature, and they are dealing with that same sort of thing. And in this current era, you can say and you can see that how the female are dominant in their own perspective. You can't say that this is the female dominant society, as we all know that the male dominant society is there, but female is dominant in their own perspective. This is my point of view. You can agree or disagree. Thank you.